We can never underestimate a mother's instinct. For this mum, there was something about how her teenage son was frantically texting that set off alarm bells. It turns out he was tricked and trapped online. Her intervention may have saved his life.
If your motherly instinct had not kicked in that day, what do you fear would have happened?
I have no doubt that he would have hurt himself. It was about a week after that I heard of a child who did kill themselves after this exact sextortion.
If there is a platform or chat function, sextortion can occur. That's what I think every parent and every household needs to be aware of.
You wouldn't leave your child alone with a predator, but that's what's happening to Australian kids from behind a screen and under a disguise. Criminals use sick tricks to blackmail them. It's called sextortion and it's destroying lives.
So I've always said to the kids, no matter what you're going through, come and tell me. There's nothing you can tell me that is going to change anything the way I feel about you. I will help you.
Did you ever think it would happen to your boy?
Nope, not at all. For him, not at all. I thought that he knew well enough. We'd had the conversation many times. Never send pictures, never send nudes, don't send out your address, don't keep your locations on.
This mother doesn't want to be identified, but she has a story every parent needs to hear.
It's not going to get everybody. It's going to get the vulnerable ones. So if your kid's vulnerable, you keep an eye on them.
It started when she noticed her 16-year-old boy acting strange on the phone to someone.
And I said, what's going on, mate? And he said, oh, nothing. And I could tell he was a little rattled. And I said, no, why were you down the side of the house? I was talking to a mate. And I said, okay, what about? And he said, nothing. I said, nah, this is not normal behaviour for him.
Her instincts told her something was seriously wrong, but she never imagined this.
I said, have a seat. We're going to talk about this. What's going on? So we sat down and he said, I'm being blackmailed. So he pulled out his phone. I flicked through. I could see what it was. I saw that the messages were from a supposed teenage girl who was flattering him.
It started with a random friend request on Snapchat, and within 20 minutes, the conversation became sexualised.
And then as soon as he showed a photo of his private parts, the girl, supposed girl, said to share one with his face in it. And so as soon as his face came into the photos was when the other party said, right, we need your money, we need $700.
That's when he realised he wasn't talking to a girl. He was actually talking to scammers in Nigeria, threatening to send the photos to his contact list if he didn't pay up.
This is the level of risk that this sextortion brings, that children would self-harm or suicide.
Helen Schneider is the Commander for Human Exploitation with the Australian Federal Police.
We do see that this typically starts with that unsolicited friend request. It tends to be from a profile of the opposite sex, of a similar age, and very quickly that conversation becomes sexualised.
She says organised crime gangs offshore typically target Australian boys.
The majority of victims, in fact over 90%, are male, and they're aged between that 13 to 17-year-old bracket. On average, we would receive 300 more or so reports a month. Only 1 in 10 children report. The numbers are actually more pervasive and more concerning than what I can tell you.
The advice from police: never pay the ransoms.
And he said that he'd send them a Facebook voucher, which he did for $100. Thankfully, he couldn't access any more than that. I said, right, clothes on, let's go. We're going down to the police station.
They filed a police report, then the AFP followed up with a phone call to reassure him the scammers have no interest in sharing the photos.
They were ready to pounce. They had 2 people that they knew of, and basically put his mind at ease to let them know that this is just a scam.
The AFP work with Nigerian authorities to arrest alleged offenders, like these two men accused of sextortion after another 16-year-old boy in New South Wales recently took his life.
My husband and I were sitting there and we just went, this could have been him. And it very well could have been. No exaggeration there at all. At the state of mind that that kid was in at the time, 100% could have been him.
Her son is now 18 and doing well. He gave permission for his mum to tell his story to help others.
You know, make sure you're really receptive if your child comes forward and wants to tell you something like this. You can imagine it's probably quite embarrassing and it's quite difficult, and you can imagine they've already been subject to fear and shaming as part of the offending.
Some parents out there would probably think this would never happen to their child. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I thought exactly the same thing. I'm an educated person, I'm a teacher, I do this for a living, but, you know, you can watch them, but you can't protect them from everything.
Yeah, an important lesson for kids and their parents. And a reminder, Lifeline offers 24-hour crisis support on 13 11 14.